Oh, hello. How are you? I'm so excited. Hey, I got something to say. I love this show and I love my guest. I can't wait for you to meet Deborah. Sorry, guys, I was a minute or two late, and you want to know why? I'll tell you why. I was recording my mentor on one of my podcasts. I love this guy, Matt Labasco. And we were just having some internet difficulties. I was like, oh my God, I'm backing up into my live show. So anyhow, we're here. I'm excited to be with you where I live in Philadelphia in the suburbs. Well, there's a lot of snow out there and some ice. Now, I don't mind the snow, but there is some ice, but it's okay. I love the changes in season, so we are good to go. As we're waiting for Deborah to come in, she waved to me, so I'm excited for her to request in. Let me tell you a little bit about Deborah Cooper. She's an awesome lady. And I met her, let me think about it. I think I met her through the Flowbell organization. Shout out to Dan Snyder. He's introduced me to so many awesome people. I'm so many. And she's coming. I was like, oh my God, where is she? She's coming. There she is. Hello. I'm so excited you're here because I didn't know what part of the country you were. A lot of people are like, oh, my internet is being weird because of where I am.
No, I don't want to make you jealous, but I'm in sunny Florida.
No, you're not.
I am.
Where in Florida?
It's a place called Aventura, Florida. It's between Fort Lauderdale and Miami.
So it's all right. I just was doing a recording right before you with my mentor, Matt Labasco, and he lives right outside of Jupiter, Florida. And he's like, yeah, I'm out on my beach.
Oh my God, Sandy, it's so beautiful. Actually, I don't want to even complain because it's almost like too hot today. It's 90 degrees. Sorry.
No way. That's right. We've been hit a little bit hard here in the suburbs of Philadelphia, Like right now, like I said, I don't mind the snow, but we got some ice going on out there too. So it's all right. I love changes in season. I'm so glad you could come on the show. I'm so excited.
Me too. Thanks so much.
I was raving about you, but I want to read before we go into this because I know you and I could chat forever.
Yes.
I want to read a little bit about you. Do you mind?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I started to tell Deborah has been an entrepreneur and CEO of several companies in the past 30 years. You only look 25, including 2 successful public relations and marketing firms, Real Life Communications and Marketing Inc. in New York City, and Fresh Connect Solutions in Miami, where she is. In addition, she founded Staycation Today. I love that. A fun-filled staycation for women to do something great for themselves every month. Today, is it Olshan Cooper? I want to make sure I said that right.
Olshan Cooper.
Yeah. Has founded your Career Design Lab, which I love, to help college students and college graduates architect, design, and curate their unique story, which we all need, and put it into their passions and turn it into a paycheck. Which we got to remember, we need some money. We need some Deborah, all right. So the one line that you said, I'm going to read it so they know, so we can own it. You like that? Own yourself without judgment.
Yeah.
We are human beings with flaws. Are you sure? But in order for us to move forward with all aspects of our lives, we must not judge ourselves. And I feel like I work on that every single day, Deborah.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Why is it that you pick that statement over every other statement?
Yeah. Because, Sandy, like you said, every day we judge ourselves or we judge other people. But what I've come to learn is that I've actually gone through, I know you're going to laugh, I've actually gone through a judgment detox.
Okay.
Because it was just really getting in the way of living your authentic life. And then what I've come to find out, it's just your ego, right? protecting you. But that's fine if we're running away from like lions and tigers and bears, oh my. But for the most part, every day, we're not. So it's a way of speaking to your brain to say, hey, brain, or hey, ego, today I judge nothing that occurs. Think about that 7-word, I judge today, I judge nothing that occurs. It kind of like freaking hacks your brain to go, okay, I'm stopping that.
Yeah. Well, I don't think of myself, as a judgmental person, but one time I decided all week I was just going to jot down when I thought I was being judgy of myself and others. And I was shocked at how many times it sneaked in there.
That's right.
We want to be like, no, I don't judge. And that's not true. I'm just tough on myself, but that's not true. I don't know. Someone said this to me. Do you believe if you judge yourself a lot that you're more likely to judge others?
Oh, I definitely think so. I definitely think so. And Sandy, you came up with a really good thing right now, is that we are so judgy of ourselves. For, when people go, oh, you're so hard on yourself. You're so hard on yourself. I used to like quell on that. Like, I loved that. Like, of course, yeah, that's why I'm so good at what I do. And I just realized how kind of BS that is. That was just me being really hard on myself because of whatever it is that we think that we're not, instead of what we are. If we believe what we are, then we're not going to judge it.
Can you say that again? I want to just soak that in.
You know what? I hope it makes sense. It's just that I think that when I was really hard on myself is I was kind of in a state of fear. I got to get this project out, or I want this to be perfect, or I want the party to be perfect. I get like all stressed out about it. But if we really believed in our abilities and who we are, right? If you just go at things more in a peaceful kind of knowing way, then you wouldn't have that angst. You wouldn't have that judgy feeling. You just go through and just go, everything's going to be great.
I was doing a podcast when was it, last week? And the one thing the young lady said to take away, and I thought this was really impactful, is instead of like, we were talking about speaking engagements, getting off the stage and saying, oh my God, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. Like, give it a break. It used to remind me of what Louise Hayes used to say. And why don't you just take 24 hours and think about what went right and what can I build on?
That's right. That's right.
And that has a whole different feeling when you say, what can I build on and what did I do right, than rushing off, which I'm sure we all have, right? You want to rush off and go, oh crap, I didn't say this, I didn't do that, I should have did that, right?
Right. But again, Sandy, that's just your ego going, see, I wanted to protect you. I knew you were scared. And she's absolutely right. It's more to speak in the positive. It's more to talk nicely about yourself and about others. And your whole demeanor changes when you do that. It's an incredible, I really did go through this thing of detoxing and like you, being really aware of what I was saying every day to myself, to others, to whatever. And what other people would say about other people. I go, hey, judge nothing that occurs. Just judge nothing that occurs. And it does really hack your brain to go, just stops it in its tracks. Makes you rethink.
Yeah, I used to say something silly, and I think it really did affect me. Even though I wasn't being like, you're a jerk, you're not smart, I would say, oh, you're such a stupid head. You know what I mean? If I would forget something. And years ago, and I caught myself, I'm like, that's not good for me to keep repeating. I can say you're silly or whatever, but when I really stopped to listen to the things I was saying over and over again, they seem minor, but tweaking them just a little made a huge impact.
100%. 100%. It is talking to ourselves in a kinder, gentler way, and really focusing on, like you were saying, the more positive things in our lives. Like, that was so much fun, or I did really well. I find myself, I really judge myself a lot on the tennis court, to be honest with you. And it's incredible. All like, I go, oh, that was so stupid. And somebody next to me was like saying, let it go, next shot. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really how we need to go into life. So we screw up on something, or the dinner came out bad, or whatever. It's like, you know what? I tried. I did my best.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
my best in this moment. And that's all we can ever do.
I, as much as it was infuriating, when I first met my husband, he had that inner confidence. Like if you would say you did this, and or you should be doing this or whatever, he would be like, okay, thanks for letting me know. But there was no guilt, no feeling bad. No, I mean to the extent, like I'd be like, don't you want to work on it? Don't you want to develop? Don't you want to do anything that has to do with self-help? And he'd say, nah, I'm really good.
Oh my God. I think you're
And
married to
that's
my husband.
extreme. Yeah, it was extreme opposite, but in a way, the part that I loved is I'm not going to beat myself out because I didn't say the right thing or do the right thing. That doesn't mean I don't care. And
Right.
it doesn't mean I'm not going to say I'm sorry, but he didn't as much. I would feel so horrible. If I said something that hurt your feelings, Deborah, I would be like mortified, and beat myself up forever versus like, hey, all right, I got that wrong. I didn't mean to and move on. I don't know about you.
No, I'm the same way. Well, I have to say, in the past, I was very held on to my ego, to be honest with you. I'd like, I'm not wrong, and I'd come up with all these rationales. But the
Yeah.
work that I've really been doing, and really, and this goes into like what I do in my career now, right? Is I see so many kids beating themselves up. Oh, I didn't take all those classes. I should have had like internships. And now it's like, now I'm really not really prepared for the jobs. It really breaks my heart, Sandy, like you're saying, and I just want to help them to get the confidence that they needed to not go through what, us at this age went through,
Yeah.
and to say it doesn't matter where you start. It's just today's start. And yeah, I'm really trying to eliminate, I'm kind of on an elimination diet of shame, blame, anger, all of those things. I'm very aware of when I'm shaming myself or
Mm,
someone else, or
yeah.
trying to get somebody to believe what I believe or what have you. I'm really very conscious now about, ooh, that sounded shaming, and I will apologize. Look at all the celebrities now, and I'm kind of trying to find a consciousness with this. But look at like Justin Timberlake. Look at all these people that are coming up out and saying, I apologize. I could have done better.
Mm,
Now I'm woke, kind of thing. It's kind of weird. Like we're all really coming out now and apologizing for just being freaking human. But I also think on the other side of that, there needs to be recognition that we are woking up, if that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I didn't even realize that. And then there was an interview I was watching on Netflix. We won't say who it was. And the woman came on and said, yeah, I did that. I didn't mean that to happen, but I'm not joining the rest of the gang and saying I'm sorry for that. And I was like, what is she talking about? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't understand. But yet she kept saying, that was really wrong. I didn't mean it that way. But if you're expecting an apology, and then I realized what you're saying because there's so many other people. And you know what? It really does depend on your motive. There's some people that might just blanketly say, I'm sorry, just to move on. And they were told to do it, right?
Right.
That's great. But then there's others that, they genuinely are sincere and they
Correct.
mean it. And I'm all about saying I'm sorry because I always say, you're not perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to say things, even in your family, right? You're more likely to say things to your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your kids, because
Yes.
they're going to love you unconditionally. We hope. And yeah, but I say, I don't care. Like, but what I do, I'm a big thing, and I don't know. I feel like just own up to it, and say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
That's
That's it.
right. That's right. That's exactly right. And to just own yourself, own it. I think there's a new thing that we really got to do, and that comes with more consciousness, is to own it. And it just then makes everything kind of start fresh. Because if you
Yeah.
own it, that's all anybody wants to be, is heard or seen, right?
Absolutely. That's why I started this, by the way. there were a lot of women saying, I feel invisible. I feel not heard, especially after the age of 35 or 40. It was
Yeah.
a lot of women, not that men don't watch this, but this was definitely for women like, hey, I got something to say, and I don't feel like I'm getting it out there in the world, which I don't give a crap what age you are, you
That's
know?
right.
Different things come with youth and different wisdom comes with age, but it all brings a unique gift,
A
And
hundred.
that's what I want to make sure happens. But here's the thing. I got to make sure before we end this, because I got so many questions that people sent in once they knew you were coming on. And the biggest one is, what do you think is the most unique thing you see going on with college kids these days? Like, is there any one
Oh,
thing that you think is so different now than it was maybe 10 years ago?
oh. I see so many different things. I can't even begin to. I see these kids have such visions for themselves and want things for themselves, but there's a disconnect because of the way, and I own some of this too, they grew up and schooling. The emphasis, what the emphasis has been on is not, in my opinion, what it should be. What I mean by that is, right? What school are you going to? What GPA? Are you taking enough AP classes? What college are you going to? What are you doing there? What internships have you had? And then they get out and they're more confused than ever, because they didn't have time. I really have talked about this, but it's during this time of COVID, it has really given these kids a time to incubate and really think about it instead of on their phones looking, oh, that sorority looked really fun at U of F. Why didn't I go there? Or looking outside of themselves. It's really taken an opportunity to look inside yourselves because it's an even playing field now. And I think even schools are seeing that too, Sandy, is that the hierarchy and the play on, oh, we've got the best football team. Well, nobody's freaking playing football. No, all of that stuff doesn't matter. What matters to you? Where's the fit for you? And so dealing with these kids now, it's really, what is your passion? It's like what we're talking about today. What is your passion? With no judgment. What was the thing in your life that made you the happiest, that brought you joy? And it
Mm.
is in there. I call it the hero story. I don't know if you know about Joseph Campbell, but he did the quote, follow your bliss. And there
Yes. Oh,
really
yes.
is a
Yes, yes.
mythical thing about that, in that we come from a family, then you go out in the world. And you go out in the world and you slay dragons and you open doors where others don't open. And that's how you come in to find your independence and who you are. And then there's a circle back to giving then back to the community. I work with the kids that are now leaving home and going out in the world and slaying dragons and trying to open doors and wondering what life's all about. And what I'm teaching them, it all goes back to the passion that you had early on before you got layered up with shoulds.
Yeah. Deborah, what brought you into this field? I mean, you've done so many amazing things, and started so many businesses.
Yeah.
What brought you to want to work with the kids?
I think it just happened serendipitously. And I'll tell you something I really love. I think it was the universe maybe bringing this to me too. As I said, after 30 years of working with so many different clients and companies and businesses and individuals, friends of mine just sort of had a daughter who got an internship in Chicago, and she's like, I'm bored. I don't like this. I don't know why they hired me and all that stuff. And I go, well, go speak to your boss. And she goes, I can't speak to my boss. I can't
Mm.
go in there. I'm like, is she kidding? Because you and I would be freaking knocking on the door.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I didn't understand this thinking of so many kids I was talking to through friends of mine going, wow, they can't do these things that are required of them in real life. So I just got to thinking. So I started to help a few. I got a few jobs, by knocking on doors on their behalf, but teaching them how to walk in. And it just became a business. And knock on wood, it's been so successful and so needed. Because I got to tell you, like and I know it's like we're running out of time, but I just worked with a kid who went to FSU. Kind of, I'd say to her, well, didn't anybody ever say to you, you might want an internship like one of these summers? She goes, no, I just come home and I would just stay at home. And I go, whoa, this is hard, because she really had nothing on her resume. But through a friend, I got her an internship. I had to let her know it's not paid right now, but if you do a great job, let's get you some background. They just wrote me, we love her. She's unbelievable. And then she wrote me, I love this. And I'm doing so many great things. Do you know how much joy that brings me?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. That she had it in her, but no one ever said, you have it in you. Go
Yeah.
out in the world and go make something of yourself. So it just opened the door. But she was able to walk through it and is doing fantastic.
Well, I just had a young man who was talking to me the other day about the fact that in the last year, having time to find himself, he really doesn't think he wants to go to college.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how to break it to his parents because he's seen his parents say, which I've heard a million times, once I've gotten them out the door to college, I feel like I've done my job. I've been a successful parent. And if they don't go to college, then how have I failed? And he doesn't know what to say to his parents. It's not that he doesn't have other things he wants to do. He just doesn't want to go to college. What do you think of that?
I have to tell you, I think he's spot on. I think taking gap years, my own daughter took a gap year because it was the same thing, the senior year. What college are you going to? And then everybody's going to, University of Michigan or this one. They're all following the herd. And she just was like, I know those are not the right fit for me, even though I've gotten into them. I want to take a year and discover myself. She had a couple of different jobs. She had to apply for jobs. She had to write a resume. It changed her. I am a total believer, especially now, to be honest with you, if you're coming out of high school, being able to take a year for yourself and go out in the real world, get some experience, do your passion. Look at Sandy, you and I after high school, in our day, was like go backpacking in Europe on $5 a day. And we came to find ourselves, and then we went back in college and we were excited to learn. Maybe some kids just need a break as long as they're doing something that enriches themselves. Trust me, my daughter now in college is loving college. And while everybody's complaining about being online, because she took the year off, she's loving learning. She's loving the art of learning because she didn't learn about school for a year. Have them call me. I'm telling you, I will, because we're all conditioned. You got to go to college. You got to go to college. By the way, what they're teaching in college now is not anything what is actually happening in terms of work out in the real world. So if he can take this year off and do something that he's passionate about and then go back into college and find the college that's a fit for that, he'll be amazing.
Okay, so many questions are coming up in my head, but let's back up to the number one thing. How about when you hear teachers say, oh, if they take a year off, it's a really bad thing because they'll never get back in the groove. They'll just lie around and do nothing, and they got to go even if they don't like it, and then if they need to, drop out.
No, disagree completely. I think there's boundaries that need to be set. I think there needs to be sort of a contract, if you will, to this boy that you're talking about. What is it that you want to do? How do you see this gap year playing out? Let them construct for themselves a game plan. It doesn't mean you're going to sit home and watch 10 episodes of Friends every day. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not the deal. That's not the
deal. And I got to tell you something, Sandy. I had a lot of kids right before COVID. They were all ready for the big consulting jobs and whatever. And I remember this one girl goes, well, I need my, 6-figure or little less than 6-figure job because I need to rent the apartment in New York City. I'm going to need to pay my bills. And I said, Abigail, here's like a freaking news flash. It's COVID. Everything's shutting down. And so what I got the kids to do, though, was to take part in, and in Dan Schneider's, it was like for New York to help the elderly during COVID. I had them do websites. I had them do social media. I had them writing blogs and everything. And all those kids that I had doing that during that time when nothing was going on are now having jobs that are flourishing. So to this boy or to anybody else, put a game plan together. What's going to benefit you, how you feel you're going to enrich yourself, and stick to that plan. And for parents, set the boundaries on that.
You know what you're making me think? whether they worked with you or did it on their own. Like they should have a presentation. Like, I don't want to go to college, but this is what I'm going to do. Like, if my kid came to me and said, I just don't want to go to college, I'd say, okay, what's the plan? Right?
That's correct.
So if they had like, okay, well, this is what I want to do and this is why, I think the parents might listen to them.
Absolutely. Look at all the people. Look at all the people who've created apps or dropped out of school because they had a plan, they had a passion. They were like, I'm going to try this out. But I think his fear of speaking about this to his parents, I mean, first it's to excavate what really is going on. You know, I know for my daughter, it was like all these colleges she got into, in the end, she just knew is not where she wanted to go
Yeah.
without the pressure of everything. And that's where the schools, high schools are going wrong too, Sandy, is that they're focusing on the wrong thing. It's not about getting into college, getting into the right school. You know who that's the benefit for is the parents to say,
Yeah.
oh yeah, my kid goes to University of whatever, or my kid's in Harvard or Yale. That playing field is over. It's what are you doing to bring joy and happiness in your life and doing something that benefits you and enriches you. And in the long run, those are the things, to be honest, with my daughter's resume now, she gets every job that she goes out for because they're like, wow, you did this last year. You went out in the real, you cooked food, you worked at a spa,
Yeah.
like whatever it is. That's impressive for a 19-year-old. Not that you know, and it's
That's
not
really
affecting.
nice to hear. That's really nice to hear that businesses are looking at that because I know as a business owner, I always said, I don't care. You know, they have to have a certain degree because we have certain things we have to abide by in the health club industry. But I care about them and what they've done and who they worked with and who did they mentor and where was their internships. Like, that's what I care about more than anything else. I mean, I had to cover my ass, you know, as far as making sure they had certifications.
Right.
Some of the most amazing managers and trainers. I mean, it was street smarts, man.
That's right. Sandy, 100%. That's exactly right. It is street smarts. It's knowing who you are. And here's what I always say to the kids, even when they're interviewing for jobs, what value are you bringing to the business or the person? Find your value. You know where you find your value? You find your value in a gap year. You find your value in going through and slaying the dragons. And I go back to the hero story and find out your own self of being a hero. Who are you a hero to? Not your parents, not your teachers, not whatever. And quite frankly, as I go back to in this year of COVID, you have, I want to say, every right to go out and be in the world to the best of your ability.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to calm down a lot of parents by saying all this. You're going to make them like, okay, if my kid wants to go to college, great. But if not, I'm not a bad parent.
Oh, absolutely not. But find out, you know, it's all about finding out our story, right? And it's our story, it's our backstory that makes us who we are. Colleges don't make us who we are. Outside things don't make us who we are. We make ourselves who we are by taking chances, by taking risks. By the way, when you talk about jobs at Google, they're paying interns $200,000. They don't give, like what you said, about what college you went to. They have like tests of how you can, what you're capable of, whether it's like coding or what have you. And by the way, there's all these master classes. There's Coursera. I could go to University of Penn right now for free on Coursera and learn about finance. Not that I ever would because I'm not really good at that. But you know what I'm saying? But if I wanted to, I could. There's so many things that you can do out there to enrich yourself.
That is so enlightening. And it makes me feel at peace too, knowing that,
Yeah.
you know, because innately, I know that to be true, but I love knowing that there's so many other avenues out there for kids to pursue and be extremely successful and make money that they may not even know about.
That's right. That's right. And you know what, babe? It's all about networking. Look at that new app called Clubhouse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, right? People are finding jobs through there. This is what I'm saying. School is a little, and I'm all about education. I have my education. I'm all about getting a college degree. But I'm saying in this world today, that is not the only way to be successful.
Yeah. 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 And that Clubhouse thing really took off, did it?
I mean,
Wow.
come on. That's amazing. That's amazing. And people are getting jobs because you know what, too, Sandy? That's the thing right now. It's not what you know, but it's who you know.
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah.
world
And
we live
networking
in.
has always been important, but
Yeah.
now it's really important.
Yeah.
So I want to back up on one thing before we go. I know we could talk forever about this, but you said, especially now, what colleges are teaching is not what's going on in the real world. What did you mean by that?
I mean, they're still like talking about like core classes like anthropology and, just things that I know when I'm working with clients or businesses today is not what's of interest to them. And I believe that there should be a level of understanding about the world, but I think there's a different way to go about it. I'm not an educator in that way that I
Yeah.
can help schools everywhere, but I just see what's going on. And I say to myself, that's not the jobs I'm getting these kids have nothing to do with that. Or that you got to
Yeah.
take all your
Yeah.
core classes for 2 years. Now, I got to be honest, is that like a money making thing that they have to do that so that they make more money? I don't know. All I
Mhm.
know is that the jobs I am getting kids and getting some really amazing jobs had nothing to do with the courses for 4 years that they
Yeah.
took. Unless, quite frankly, it's finance, some
Yeah.
finance, law, doctors, those still kind of jobs. But ones that are more creative or PR or marketing or whatever, go out and become a YouTube star. Use your side hustle as your job today. That kid for the gap year, let him go on YouTube. Let him become something, teach something, talk about something that's of interest to him. That bringing back to a job to say, yeah, I got 500,000 thing on Spotify or 500,000 followers on this, and I engaged in this, and I got a sponsorship on that. You tell me who's going to get the job
Yeah.
in
No, no, you're right.
today's marketplace.
No, you're right. I didn't even think of that. It's so true. There's going to be a lot of things and a lot of ways that kids can explore what they want to do with their life. And as far as money, I'm not sure because I don't know that much about the industry, but I do know this. It does take long, like for colleges, if they have their courses or even high schools, even when things get antiquated and outdated, it's like turning that wheel so slow. You know what I mean? Like, here's what's going on in the world, and here's the courses you should take, but it could take 25 years to get there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because it's been in place for so long. I even know when I was going into the high schools and teaching kids and the teachers of how to reduce anxiety and stress. And we're talking like even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Some of them thought, really? But there were innovators in there. Some of the teachers and counselors could see that this would be a main course that kids would need, like how to manage stress, how to deal with anxiety, like one of the courses kids should have. And fast forward, they now see it. Do you know what I mean? But it takes a while for that cog to turn, right? Besides the fact that it could be the way they make money, you know?
Sandy, absolutely. You know what really frustrates me, and I'm sure it does for you? Like last night, I was watching the nightly news. In every program of the nightly news programs was about stress and the whole thing with now being online. Well, why do we have to report that when we knew that, like you're saying, years ago? But yet, those are the things. I think that talking about intuitiveness and more like NLP kind of thing, neurological programming, language, how to speak to people, all of that kind of stuff is what we should be teaching kids today. How to self-soothe and how to be good to themselves and what they can bring out in the world instead of this like rote way that is not helping anybody, to be honest. It's not getting them better jobs. Trust
Yeah.
me. It's not helping them mentally, physically, or emotionally. Don't we want physical, emotional, and healthy and physical kids today going out in the world, not ones that the nightly
Yeah.
news are reporting on every day because we can't change the system? That just makes no sense to me.
Yeah. And you know what, though? They're going to have to change, I think,
Yeah.
because I do believe with kids seeking other avenues
Yeah.
of education and getting jobs other ways, because like you said, they created YouTube. channel, or they are an influencer on social media and so many other things. They're artists and they put their art up on the internet. I mean, there's just a million ways to do it now. I think they're going to have to come aboard.
I 100% agree. I think that this time too, schools are going through thinkubating too. What are we doing? They're losing money left and right. Kids can't stay in dorms. They're all staying in apartments. This world has changed forever. And schools, I hope, will get on board with that.
Deborah, I have loved this, but we have to wrap it up. And before we go, though, tell everyone first, who is your ideal client? Who do you want to reach out to you? And then how can they reach out to you?
You know what? I love all my clients. I have to say, I love them all for their individuality and what they bring, and then how they flourish and open up to the world. They can reach me out through my website, of course, which is www.yourcareerdesignlab.com. That's the best way, and you can hear what people have had to say. Or I'd be happy to have everybody reach out to me at my email, which is info@yourcareerdesignlab.com. And it's whatever question. And it's interesting, Sandy, I'm actually speaking to two people this weekend. Both are their freshman year in college, and they don't like the courses they're taking and are completely lost now because they thought they had a direction. And in their first semester, they're realizing that the courses they're not taking are not interesting or fulfilling them. So there you go.
So, but when I say ideal client, though, what age, like, are kids, what's the youngest they reach out to you versus, the oldest?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I have high school kids. And in fact, I'm going to be speaking at a school here called American Heritage, because they're smart enough in high school to create a business and entrepreneurship program with parents that are in business, teaching kids about business. And I'm going to be teaching kids how to craft, tell, and sell your story.
Awesome.
I know. I'm so excited. And they have a pre-business society. So they really have jumped on that. Then I work with the college kid like now who are in college and going, what am I doing here? Why am I even here? So I work with that. I work with the kids coming out of college to get them their first jobs and their first careers. 20-something resets that have been doing something ever after college and go, I am so bored with doing real estate or whatever it is. Because life changes. And sometimes we're not getting the gold Rolex watch at the end of the 50 years anymore. That's like over, And I'm working with transitional transformations, I call it. Women like you and me. I've had two incredible women who've been doing things. One was a vice president of a bank for 20 years. I've now pivoted her into being an entrepreneur because she has so many connections. She can bring businesses to finance.
Woohoo!
And she doesn't have to be in a bank to do it.
You know what? We gotta go. We'll have to talk again. They're gonna want you back on. But you know what? I was thinking, I'm starting a new podcast, and I didn't even think to reach out to you, called Overcoming the Weekend. And it's all for kids aged 21 to 30 and what they do to stay mentally and physically healthy with balancing out the social life and dealing with what's going on in the world. And I got a bunch of kids, male and female, that are coming on. If you have any kids that you could recommend, male and female, they don't have to be, a fitness freak. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, the trials and errors of trying to figure out how to stay mentally fit and physically fit and still, have a social life.
Sandy, I've got a million for you, to be honest with you. After this today, I will definitely email you. I've got some amazing people to talk about.
I will
that.
send you the far, but we started this because they call me Aunt Sandy. I have a lot of my nephews, and they would tell me about the workout, but then they would, to deal with the stress. I'm not saying all kids don't drink, but they found themselves drinking more than normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I'm not saying, they have a problem, but they're like, wait a minute, I've gained this weight. I don't feel great. I take care of myself Sunday through Thursday. I eat like turkey burgers and veggies. And then they go crazy because even more than they were before, they said.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah,
It's
because you
trouble
know what?
killing it.
Taking the edge off, the line. I was just taking a little edge, I'm drinking a glass of wine because it takes the edge off. For these kids, their edge is like a brick wall now.
Yeah.
So they have to drink more. It's more masking of themselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's why I love to excavate and work with these kids to excavate who their true self is, because they're just trying to get over the brick wall.
I know. Or they're getting stoned, and there are
Yeah.
some states legal, but then that's fine. But then they're eating more,
Yes.
and it's just a quick fix. But anyhow, so that's why I started this new podcast. They're
I
going to
think
call me
that's
Aunt
brilliant.
Sandy. It's all, and everyone's like, "Oh, but we're that way too." But this is just for the peeps. This is 21 to 30-year-olds.
I've got it.
So send me them, and we want them to be real, tell their stories, what helps, what doesn't. It'll be fun.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's wonderful what you're doing. Let's go out and help as many people as we can with, knowledge and basis of which to go on and lead a great life.
Yeah. Yeah. Deborah, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been great. I know everyone is going to share this and like it. If you didn't watch it live, it'll be recorded. It'll be on Instagram and Facebook so they can find us.
Great.
I love doing, hey, I got something to say, because it's raw and authentic. You never know what's going to happen. But thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing.
Thank you. So do I.
It's so needed right now. All right. Hey, I got something to say. My ladies, my men who watch, you know what I'm going to say. Until next time, toodles.
Bye-bye.